I do, and I think there's considerable evidence.
You do?
That was Congressman Ted Cruz being laughed at for spreading conspiracy theories. Now, in case you didn't hear it very well, in the background, there was somebody literally laughing when Ted Cruz says, I do believe there's considerable evidence. And of course, this is in the context of Ukraine meddling with the election. So now, the idea, of course, that Ukraine meddled in our elections in 2016 is preposterous because it's actually not backed up by any sort of evidence. Oh, but you don't understand. There is a hidden server in Ukraine, and Donald Trump tried to put the pressure campaign on Zelensky so that they can find this server and prove that the Russia thing is a hoax 100%. Here's the thing. One of Trump's top State Department officials recently told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee that it was Russia, not Ukraine, that did mount an operation intended to influence the election. And so that's the Trump administration, okay? Now, look, I've argued about the impact. But at this point, I can't argue that it never happened. Yes, it happened. Yes, the Russians did try to influence the election. Now, were they successful? I don't know. It depends on what your definition of success is. I mean, Donald Trump is president, but at the same time, is that due to this or a multitude of other factors that doomed Hillary Clinton's campaign? And I would say that it's a combination of both. And then I think the Russian interference played a very small role in this. Nonetheless, I do believe that this entire campaign by the Russians is just to create chaos. Well, if that's the goal, mission accomplished. We've got plenty of chaos. We have a president that's currently being impeached right now. So now, look, there's this, in response to this, there's this gigantic denial, and we've got these conspiracy theories. And so, look, all this is designed to protect a president who appears to be a criminal. And so Chuck Todd, by the way, look, Chuck Todd is, by all accounts, terrible at his job, generally, right? Except in this case, he actually asked a really good question and did really good follow-up. So I want to give you the whole video in context. Take a look.
Do you believe Ukraine
meddled? His name was Hunter Smith.
Do you believe
they
Ukraine
wouldn't pay
meddled?
him $1 million a year to serve on the board.
Do you believe Ukraine meddled in the American election in 2016?
I do, and I think there's considerable evidence.
You do? You do?
Yes,
look,
and Chuck, let me say.
This is, Senator, this sort of strikes me as odd because you went through a primary campaign with this president. He launched a birtherism campaign against you. He went after your faith. He threatened to, quote, spill the beans about your wife about something. He pushed a National Enquirer story, which we now know he had a real relationship
Chuck,
with the editors
you're
of the National
dragging
Enquirer.
up all that garbage.
Senator,
that's very kind of you.
Let me ask you this. Is it not possible that this president is capable of creating a false narrative about somebody in order to help him politically?
Oh, that's a devastating question. I actually really do like the framing here because the framing points out in numerous occasions that Donald Trump would shamelessly lie in order to hurt his opponent, in order to win an election. I mean, that's really great framing from Chuck Todd. And I never thought that I would be saying Chuck Todd actually did a good job. I know it's crazy. But look, some of the conspiracies, by the way, floated by Donald Trump during the Republican primary. Again, when he was going up against Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, I think Mike Huckabee was in it for a short time, Chris Christie, all the other Republicans that are now basically bowing down and kissing the ring, he would make up horrific conspiracy theories about. For example, he said that Ted Cruz's dad was involved in the murder of JFK. That's insane. That's insane. Not only that, called his wife ugly and just said all sorts of horrible things, right? I don't even like Ted Cruz. I think he's a loathsome human being. But that right there, BS. There is not an ounce of truth about any of that. to be found. Nonetheless, people like Ted Cruz are just slavering defenders of the president, sucking up to him. And it's so gross. But it shouldn't be a surprise, by the way, to see someone like Ted Cruz defending conspiracy theories. Because look, that's kind of been Ted Cruz's brand. Remember, he used to say that Agenda 21, this was UN, right? Basically a way to, help with climate change, right? That Agenda 21 would force all Americans to live in hobbit homes. Now, look, I'm a fan of the Lord of the Rings, right? I think the Shire is a beautiful place to live. So, hobbit homes, why not, right? But no, he literally believes they're going to eliminate all golf courses and force us all into underground little hobbit homes. That's what Ted Cruz used to talk about. And then let's not forget Jade Helm. Now, I don't know if Ted Cruz necessarily pushed that, but that was the invasion, Obama's invasion of Texas and the takeover of the United States. These are insane people. These are not people that are grounded in any sort of reality. So again, it's not a surprise to see someone like Ted Cruz spread conspiracy theories about, missing servers hanging out in Ukraine somewhere, and Ukraine actually meddling in the election when, again, there's zero proof of that, because they have a history of saying insane things. The entire party is unhinged. And if they weren't so dangerous, would deserve to be laughed at completely. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.